Of course, this is Sporty Monday, and of course now into the quick fire segment, we have this man who's been very evasive, hard to get, but finally we've nailed him down. But controversy is courting him everywhere. He'll be telling us why. Welcome, sir.
Asante sana Swila.
Labda jitambulishe kwa mtazamaji, wewe ni nani? Because now so many titles, some are being contested. Who are you?
Kwa majina naitwa Hussein Mohamed. I'm the CEO of Extreme Sports and also the Vice Chairman of KPL side Murang'a Seal.
Murang'a Seal.
Yes.
Well, let's start there. We know you more with Extreme Sports. By the way, what became of Extreme Sports? We saw a lot of activities some years back, which I covered, then all of a sudden it went lull.
Actually, Extreme Sports is still there, alive and kicking. We had our most recent activity in Lamu this past weekend. Before that, we had an activity also in Migori. We also had something in Nyamira. So we are celebrating 20 years, actually, of Extreme Sports this year. We started the celebrations late last year, and we've had a series of tournaments across the country, and majority of which have been a platform to sensitize the young people around the dangers of substance abuse. So Extreme Sports is doing quite well. We just moved away from the league structure in 2020 after COVID. Of course, many sports sort of brands suffered during that period. Lack of sponsorship, lack of funds, a struggling economy. So we put the league on hold. But we've had kitting activities. I think in 2022 we did a kitting program of over 400 football clubs across the country. Now we have got a program to cover about 15 counties with the Super 8 at 20 celebrations. So Extreme Sports is still on.
It's still on. Now, to your second title, you've said you're vice chair of Kenyan Premier League side Murang'a Seal FC. And probably I'll start it from there, and we'll have that letter on screen shortly. This was a letter that was written by FKF CEO Barry Otieno. And he's saying this was in regard to the AGM, which raised a lot of issues. And he's saying, following a comprehensive review of the registration document and other details thereof regarding Murang'a Seal, submitted in compliance with Article 102 and L03 of FKF Club Licensing Regulations and Article 54 and 55 of the CAF Men's Club Licensing Regulations, attached for your reference, they don't recognize you as the vice chair of Murang'a FC. There it is, we have it. What's your response to this?
I think the first thing to note is that first that letter was released to the media even before we got it. Already that tells you that it was laced with malice. Let me give you a very good example. You work for Royal Media. You have a regulatory body.
Yeah, Media Council of Kenya.
Media Council of Kenya, but also CAK that sort of has oversight.
Absolutely.
Do they have a right to choose who Royal Media can employ and not employ? They don't. Tomorrow or today, you might be nominated to attend a meeting, even at the Ministry of ICT and Communications. Nobody can stop you because you are a bona fide employee of Royal Media. Article 18 of our own constitution of FKF protects the rights of all the members. And it actually highlights who a member is. Article 19 highlights who a member of the federation is. And it's corporate membership. It's not individual membership. There's no individual today who can say, as a person, including the president of FKF, can say that they are a member, an individual member of the federation. The chairman of Murang'a Seal, Robert Macharia, came out and released a statement and said that this is one of our officials. So who are they to reject it? But I think what is key here is that this brought to the fore the impunity that has been reigning at the federation over years, the culture of intimidation, the culture of coercion that I think majority of the delegates have been sort of facing quietly. And it's about time we put a stop to it. When you look at the FIFA statutes, Article 4 is very clear on matters of discrimination. And also Article 15 again reconfirms that position, especially on member associations. So nobody has the right to actually dictate to a club who their members can be or who their officials can be. The FKF Constitution actually is very clear that you cannot interfere, third parties cannot interfere in the running of a member. And
you're saying that you're talking of this has to come to an end. As we speak, I think we are in more of a conundrum, if I may use that word. There's no clear way forward regarding these FKF elections. First of all, are you running for FKF presidency to begin with?
Well, I've gotten that question quite a bit most recently, and I've always responded with the same sort of status of position that I am not ready to make that announcement, and it's purely because there's no roadmap, first of all,
for the elections.
For the elections. But what is important is that we get it right this time, and I think that is key. So even before we talk about who's running and the candidates and so on, it's important that the process is seen to be free and fair.
And transparent. And
all-inclusive.
How do we proceed? Because as things stand, that letter emanated from the AGM that was set for March, which never materialized because of the injunction by the court. And as we speak, there are matters pending in the court. Yeah? And basically, we should have an AGM 6 months to the election. So as things stand, from where do you sit? How do we proceed? There are talks we disband the federation. Do we put in a normalization committee? There's a fear you interfere with the federation. FIFA comes hard on you with a suspension, hurting the players and football at large. So from where you sit to saying, how do we proceed with this kind of situation?
So if you look at the electoral process, we require at least about 6 months to be able to have a credible process in place. By September 18th of this year, the term of the current delegates, elected delegates, will come to an end.
Sure.
So we've got about 3.5 months to that date. The big question here is what happens when that time comes. So we have a crisis. And this is very unfortunate. I think what is important is that we find a mechanism where we can resolve all the court cases that are out there as quickly as possible, bring all the stakeholders on the table. I think it is something that the NOC President Paul Tergat tried to do about 3 weeks ago.
And you're not in attendance at that meeting, if I may ask?
No, I was not in attendance, but all the other stakeholders were in attendance. And I think the resolutions were quite clear from that particular meeting. I know it was a closed-door meeting, but majority felt that maybe it's time, looking at the timelines, especially heading to the deadline. Maybe it's time to have a normalization committee. That was the opinion of most. Can we have an SGM because the court order stopped the AGM? SGM could be another route, but looking at the Constitution, is it feasible within the timelines that we have? And I think when we talk of key stakeholders, because you are also stakeholders,
I'm a stakeholder, yes.
If we talk of key stakeholders, we have 3 parties here, or 4 parties, that must sit immediately and make a decision together. The key ones, of course, is government. Government is the biggest investor in our sports. You cannot do away without government. The second one, of course, is FIFA. The third is FKF itself. And the fourth is interested parties who feel that they're not able to get fair hearing.
People like you. FKF. Now, talking of normalization committee, you can't have this unless you sit with FIFA on the table and agree, this is the situation we face, this is how we want to proceed forward. Up to now, do you think probably the government has taken that direction? Because we don't just wake up and say, we now have a normalization committee in place.
Article 8 of the FIFA statutes provides a route, an avenue to forming a normalization committee. And it stipulates under special circumstances, you can have a normalization committee, and that is within the FIFA statute. So it is possible to do it. If government, I will not speak on behalf of anybody here, but from what I'm seeing in the media reports is that there could have been a discussion already between government and FIFA on this matter. So we just wait. Maybe let's wait for official communication. I'm not sure how far that has gone, but it's about time, and I think it needs to happen as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the litigation and the court cases will never stop, and this is the sad thing about our football.
Probably the easier route out of this, from where I sit to saying, would be to prevail upon the parties in court to withdraw those cases, and probably then now we come to the table, because as things stand, there's a court injunction, there's a court order. How do we proceed with that? Because that again would be in contempt of court.
And that should start with the FKF itself. The federation should go to court and remove whatever they've put there. Because the case in Mombasa is all about FKF trying to stop the AGM and, of course, by extension, the election. And we know those shenanigans have to come to an end. And I think we have to take the bull by the horns this time round. The impunity at the federation must come to an end immediately. There's no shortcuts to it. We must hold people to account, and it must be done now. I think the fear-mongering that has been going on even with the delegates and trying to intimidate people must stop. And that is the only way we'll find a solution. These delegates will not be in office come September. So I don't know even what they're fearing. But the court cases have to, of course, be removed. And it needs to start with the federation itself. And from there, then we can find and then have a free, fair, transparent electoral process that is all-inclusive. That way, who will go to court? Nobody. Follow the law. Let's follow the law, and we will have a clean process.
So anybody born in the 80s or the 90s or even the 2000s, without taking credit from the federation or football management in the country, there's no single day we've had an office running smoothly without the politics. We've had governments come time and again. I remember the era where Dr. Evans Kidero was put in to lead a committee and also raise funds for Harambee Stars. I remember the era of Obingos and all that. I remember the era of Najib Balala. Then lately we had Ambassador Amina Mohammed actually disbanding the federation, if I may say so, or asking them to get out of office. And we know how that went. The interim bodies, the caretaker committees, they've never given Kenya a solution as far as management and a proper roadmap is concerned. How sure are we that this time, let's say we tell Nick now, you are the problem, step aside, or we don't want you in the game. How sure are we the process we're going to take now will be all-inclusive, will give us free, fair polls, and probably a proper roadmap for the game?
The first step is to ensure that we make even the process of selecting that team, if it's the normalization committee way, to be above board. The process itself has to be above board. If you have a weak foundation, then you'll never have a long-lasting solution to anything. The foundation has to be very solid. So the normalization committee has to be above board. That's the first thing. It has to be, like I said, a very transparent and a free, fair process. Once you get that right, then we get the right leadership to now watch over football. And
that will be through the electoral court, the electoral process, yes.
Absolutely. And then get the right people right from the grassroots. Once we get the right delegates and the right people with a passion for football, especially administrative-wise, we will then start the journey of reforms and the journey of reconstructing this particular game. And I think it's important to note that today, football doesn't pay in Kenya. In fact, when you look at all other big clubs, let's say all over the world, you'll see they're valued at billions of dollars. I think in Kenya, it's in the negative. It's actually a burden to own a football team.
Before I come to the solutions that you have, I want to ask you this question. And you've been in football for long. You ran, I think, in 2011 or thereabouts. If we want to clean our football, it's the delegates who are going to make that call at the FKF elections. But now, look at it this way. We've seen how these elections go. It's how deep you are pocketed. those gentlemen don't really look at the policies. Swila is coming with this. He gonna clean football. He's the solution. They look, what can Swila pay us? We've seen delegates changing camps on the night before the election, yeah, which again talks to the corruption in our country. Probably, let's say, part of the system. Even in football, there's a lot of corruption. So as much as we say we clean the rot, today we can get everybody and put Swila there. Get everybody, put Hussein there. But the men and women who are helping you manage the game are corrupt to the core. How do you deal with that?
I agree with you that corruption is a systemic issue in this country across the board. It's not just in sports or in football. And the solution to that is that, again, it goes back to the type of leadership, especially at the top. If we have good leadership at the top, then we can give direction and we can set the standards and give a plan to the rest for the rest to follow. I think for us, as at Extreme Sports, for example, I'll speak for the organization, it's 20 years down the road. You've never heard of one single scandal within Extreme Sports activities. We pay on time, all the referees are paid, we pay for the grounds, we provide kits, balls. Every cent that we get from our sponsors is accounted for. And we've never had an issue with any of our sponsors or participating clubs. And we manage over 100 football teams within the Super 8 League. So that goes to show that it is possible, that we can actually do it, but we have to elect the right people at the branch levels. Now, but if we go to commercialization of the game and how to mitigate some of these challenges, is show that football can pay. If we went to, let's say, Busia County, or we went to Kakamega, or we went to Mombasa County, and made football viable, and everybody gained from it commercially.
How do you make it viable? For instance, at the grassroots?
So at the grassroots, it requires all key stakeholders or partners. And in my view, we need four main partners in this to drive this particular sort of initiative to success. The first partner is, of course, central government. We cannot do without government. 95% is central government. The second one is county governments. The third one is development partners, especially the NGOs, UN Habitat, UN, DFID, Ford Foundations, and so on, especially when it comes to, I saw you had a good story on women football. They could be great participants in that sector. The fourth one is private sector. So we need a round table. And we need to agree what kind of infrastructure development can we put in every, let's say, constituency. I'll give you a very good example, Swila. We have over 100, maybe let's say 120 constituencies with more than 150,000 people population, which means you can actually build a facility that can be sustainable, maybe a 10,000 seater or 15,000 seater.
That's about the facilities, right?
Those facilities. Now, the infrastructure will allow you to commercialize the sport. If you have good infrastructure, the clubs can generate income every weekend. You can have a lot of economic activities around that facility. You have your traders, you have transport sector coming into play, you have advertising, you have all sorts of marketing, because private sector or corporates will look at how many eyeballs do they have.
Absolutely.
Every weekend. Now you'll start seeing the resources trickling down into the sector. Imagine today if we had 100 stadiums built across 150 constituencies to start with.
It will inspire the game, definitely.
It will, and that's where you'll also see the talent.
And now,
so it's possible.
I'll still ask you, why is Hussein in this space? Why is Hussein giving this as a panacea to the problems bedeviling the game? Do you want to be the man to take this forward, or probably are you a prophet trying to clear the road for somebody else?
Swila, 20 years ago when I started Super 8, I started it because I saw the potential of football. I saw the opportunities around it. I saw a sector that is completely neglected but had great potential. And I wanted to sort of make it into a case study and show people that it's possible to fix this sector. So I did it for 20 years. I didn't do it for anything else other than giving back to society at first. It's all about passion. Today, football runs on passion, especially in this country. It doesn't earn you anything. You don't make it up. Very few people make money from football in this country. So for me, I want to play my part in society. I grew up almost in every neighborhood in this city of Nairobi. I don't think there's any neighborhood I've not grown up in. I've grown up in Kawangware, I've grown up in Kibra, I've grown up in...
You don't look like Kawangware anyway.
I did, actually. Growing up in those neighborhoods...
Yes.
Growing up in those neighborhoods, I saw the potential of football and I saw
the struggles youngsters go. Real quick, because we don't have time. We've seen again in the past, gentlemen come and use our sports or football as a ladder, stepping stone to politics. Is Hussein interested in politics? If I was, it would have been clear within the last 20 years. So you are in this for the passion and for the game?
Absolutely.
Lastly, Harambee Stars take on on Burundi Swallows in Malawi. Quite a shame. We are going to host our match away as host to a visiting team.
Before I speak about Harambee Stars, I think first let me congratulate Shujaa and congratulate Sasha Mutai and his team for the great job that they've done, and they need all the support to continue growing, so I hope we will continue to give them that support. For Harambee Stars, I wish them all the best as well. I wish them a win. It's very difficult to win at that stage if you are not well prepared. And I think in the future we need to put a lot of effort in preparations of the national team. I hope and pray that we will never have to play a home game in another country again. I really hope that we won't be able to do that. But also on Harambee Stars Wheeler, the foundation is key. If we are to play in the World Cup, or at the highest levels with other countries, we must invest in the grassroots football and in our youth structures. In 5 seconds, your message to stakeholders? To all the stakeholders, especially the ones who are the delegates of FKF, get rid of the fear. This is the time we can fix our football. We will fix Kenyan football. There's no alternative. We will be competitive. It's a shame that Tanzania is way ahead of us, but we can fix it. We will correct it. So get out of that cocoon you are in, and let's do the right thing. And I think we will be prosperous. Let's do the right thing, says Hussein Mohammed. We are all in agreement with that. Let's get it right in football, in sports, and as a country. That's Hussein Mohammed, the CEO of Extreme Sports, speaking to us here on Sporty Monday. Of course, we'll keep an eye on his trail. Does he want to be FKF chief? What is he up to? Before we take a break, we ask you,